Hey there, YouTube. Welcome back to the channel. Today, I want to look over this Galvantula EX that's going to be coming out in our Stellar Crown set. Um, the other night on my stream, I was kind of putting together some lists, and this one I posted over on Twitter, and it got a lot of attention. So I thought it'd be cool to kind of go over it and, explain my idea behind it. It's not an original idea. I did see this posted on Twitter. They've been messing around with these decks in Japan already. But I think this looks like a really cool. So if you don't know, what Galvantula EX does, its first attack for a lightning and a colorless. If your opponent's active Pokemon is an EX or a V, it does 110 more damage. So 220 base damage knocks out a lot of basic Vs and EXs such as Miraidon or especially with Palkia in this format, going to be gaining a lot of popularity. You one-shot Palkia anyways because you are a lightning type. So that first attack can come in very useful, but mainly we want to focus on its second attack. For a grass, lightning, and fighting energy, it does 180 damage, and then they can't play any items from their hand. Item lock's very powerful, but this energy requirement is very awkward. It's 3 different types of energy. Something to help us with that's really cool is this Joltik. This Joltik just has an attack for a colorless energy that it can basically set up 2 Galvantulas. You search your deck for 2 grass, up to 2 basic grass and 2 basic lightning cards, and attach them to your Pokemon in any way you like. That is very strong. That's very strong for a Pokemon as, small as Joltik. So essentially, if you go second and you can just use this attack, and by your next turn you evolve into Galvantula, you're item locking. But you have to discard all those energies, so it can get tricky to keep streamlining the item lock, because if you break it, then your opponent gets to play the game. So what we're going with for our energy acceleration are the Regis. What Regigigas does, it can accelerate up to 3 energy cards from your discard pile to one of your Pokemon. Not just specifically a Regi Pokemon, but any Pokemon. Up until this point, you only knew it to accelerate to Regi Pokemon because you had to have every single Regi in play, and that filled up your entire board. But now that we have this new stadium that lets you fill your bench to 8 if you have a Terra Pokemon in play, you have the bench space to play down all the Regis as well as streamline your Galvantulas. Galvantula is the Terra that fulfills the stadium's requirement. Rounded off, I play this one prizer Galvantula. It's a grass type. Its ability says that if their active Pokemon has an ability, it does 50 more damage, and then the attack does 50 plus 80 if I have any lightning energy attached to it. So just with all those prerequisites, it one-shots Charizard EX, which I think is worth including since you're already, you're playing Joltix. It's a one prizer that can just one-shot one of the best cards in the game currently. So that's why we play that. And then I have one Squawk in here just to kind of help get out of an awkward opening hand. Eventually, this stadium is going to get bumped. Your opponent might just, replace it with another stadium or play a Lost Vacuum, which gives you an excuse to then just discard Squawkabilly off the board so that it's no longer a liability. And so for the trainers and supporters, this is kind of just like my skeleton idea. Just try to be consistent, and then you can work on counts from there. Research, you kind of just gotta, your first couple turns, you need to just find your Regis, find your energy. You want to get your energy discarded. Research kind of just helps you get to that point. Iono is pretty much just more draw if you don't have a research, but at the end of the game, if you're item locking an Iono, a turn where you can Iono them down to a low hand and then item lock them can shut them out of the game, especially if that attack knocks out their attacker. 2 boss can kind of help with stalling, or since 180 isn't usually enough to one-shot something, such as like a Gardevoir EX, a Charizard, a Dragapult, it's good to have the gust to finish off those knockouts. And then, personally, my favorite card in this set is Crispin. Crispin lets you search your deck for 2 basic energy, attach one, and then put the other one in your hand. If you go first, this is ideally the supporter you want to play turn 2. Because if you go first, you attach an energy to Joltik, and your next turn you evolve into Galvantula, play Crispin, and now you're using that attack. Personally, I think this card's phenomenal. Even in decks that only play one energy type, something like Palkia that only will play water energy, at worst, it's still search your deck for an energy and attach it, and I think that's phenomenal. And then I do have one Lana's Aid in here. Like I said, the stadium will get bumped and you'll lose some of your Reggies, but this is just a 1 card, can return 3 of them to your hand. It just kind of helps with recovery. Might even consider playing 2. This I just think is it's self-explanatory. You can end up just cutting it. I just have it in here just for that safety net. 4 Nest Ball gets all of your basics. You need to fill your bench. 4 Nest Ball is the best card to do that. 4 Ultra Ball, just more Pokemon search. Not much else to say there. I don't play Buddy Buddy Poffin since those will only find Joltix, and you kind of just don't have the room considering you're trying to fit all of this in. 4 Night Stretcher. This just puts a Pokemon in your hand. You're never going to use this to get any of the energy back because Regigigas does that for you. This is just to get your Pokemon back so that you can refill your bench. 2 Switch. Probably going to start with one of these guys. Most likely going to start with one of these guys. Just the Switch helps you get into your Galvantula. And then the stadium that kind of makes the deck run, the Area 0 Underpaths. It, like I said, I read it earlier. It lets you fill your entire bench with all the Reggies so that you can streamline accelerating energy to Galvantula. My ace spec of choice is Legacy Energy. Secret Box is probably pretty good because it kind of finds multiple pieces. But also, what's really cool about Legacy Energy in any Reggie deck is that the effect that reduces the amount of prizes your opponent takes on a knockout, you can only use that effect once per game. So if they enhanced hammer you or play a temple and knock you out, that effect doesn't trigger, which means that effect is still available. Regigigas can accelerate any energy card. So if they enhanced hammer it, knock you out, you can re-accelerate it and still get that -1 effect or -1 prize effect, which is, I think, kind of insane. And it also just acts as a rainbow energy. So it does fulfill, Galvantula's attack requirement, as well as you're not really planning on attacking with the Reggies in this deck. Like, you have the option to attack with Regieleki, Regirock, Regigigas, and because of Legacy Energy, you can attack with Regidrago. Regidrago actually fills like kind of a nice little role in this deck for some draw. If it's in the active, you can draw until you have 4. Kind of nice to probably promote after a knockout. And 160 damage also isn't terrible, especially to finish off a knockout. So I think that makes Legacy Energy just that much more strong in this deck. And then for the energy, you got 3 Grass, 3 Lightning, and 2 Fighting. Not much else to say there. The 2 Fighting's really only because like I put in Legacy Energy, so that kind of acts like instead of just playing 3 and then another energy or another ace spec, I figured Fighting was the best one to drop to justify playing the Legacy Energy. I don't play Vessels in here because I think I did when I was originally kind of putting the deck together. I put in Vessels, but I think Crispin kind of just fills that role. It searches the energy for you, and once the energy hits the discard pile, you're constantly getting recycled by Regigigas. So another thing I think is really cool in this deck is that you can use 2 Regigigas in a turn. You can bench a second Regigigas and load up 2 attackers. I think that's pretty sick. That's something we probably haven't seen. I don't really play Expanded. You've probably seen it in Expanded with Skyfield. But yeah, like I said, I think this deck's really cool. I think Stellar Crown is going to be a wild format. It's kind of going to open the floodgates for a lot of wild ideas, but I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be a big change and something the game has needed for a while now. So anyways, let me know what you guys think. Here's the list. Like I said, you can mess with counts. This is kind of just like a general skeleton idea. Anyways, thanks for watching. This is Prime HCSS. I'll see you guys later.